Welcome to the latest explainer video, this time on Castrovalva. This video is in 3 parts. Firstly, the explainer section with some academically inclined observations, then a synopsis of all 4 parts. Finally, a top 10 of what fans have said over the years are the best scenes in Castrovalva. If you have a different favourite scene, please comment below on what your favourite scene is and why. Thank you for joining us for the next Doctor Who explainer video. Premiering 4-12 January 1982, as Season 19's opener, Castrovalva is the first full story for Peter Davison's 5th Doctor, and the capstone of the regeneration arc seated in the Keeper of Traken and Logopolis. It asks, what does it feel like to wake up as a new Doctor inside a world designed to make you doubt your senses? Unlike a simple post-regeneration wobble, Davison's debut binds the Doctor's unstable identity to an unstable place, an Escher-like town that literally folds back on itself. Production context: a bridge between eras. Producer John Nathan Turner and script editor Christopher H. Bidmead planned a trilogy to ease viewers from Tom Baker to his successor. An escalating puzzle across Traken, Logopolis, Castrovalva, with the Master as connective tissue and block transfer computation, mathematics as world-building as method. Fiona Cumming directs Castrovalva with music by Paddy Kingsland, newly freelance after a decade at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. Plot skeleton for orientation. Still reeling from regeneration, the 5th Doctor tries to retreat to the Zero Room, but the Master's booby-trapped TARDIS sends the crew, Nyssa Tegan, scrambling. Adric is psychically enslaved by the Master's calculations, forcing the TARDIS toward a fabricated sanctuary. Castrovalva, a restful hill town that soon reveals paradoxes, streets that loop, histories that write themselves, and a Portreeve who is more than he seems. When the Doctor recognizes recursion, a process that generates itself, the town collapses back into the Master's computation. Escher, recursion, and spatial storytelling. Castrovalva borrows its title and its core visual conceit from M.C. Escher, the impossible Italian hill town and the artist's fascination with self-reflexive spaces. Bidmead literalizes recursion in dialogue and design. The Doctor even calls out a village's circular logic as a perfect example of recursion, priming viewers to read the entire town as a self-referential loop that collapses once its generative rule is recognized. Critics and fans have long connected the town's geometry to Escher's recursive architectures. Each path from the square returns to the square, staging a puzzle in which movement produces stasis. One reading frames the city as oppressive order masquerading as rest, a mathematical cage built to immobilize a still-healing Doctor. Identity in crisis, the Doctor, companions, and the Master. Davison's performance foregrounds vulnerability. The Doctor rummages through past personas, imitates former mannerisms, and reaches for celery, a comic grace note that will crystallize later as the 5th Doctor's motif. Regeneration here is not just fatigue, it is a cognitive dislocation matched by a labyrinth that refuses stable orientation. For companions, Castrovalva is a pressure test. Nyssa becomes the cool rationalist, Tegan, the disoriented but determined navigator, Adric, the abducted amplifier for the Master's mathematics, an unnerving early inversion that turns the young prodigy into a weapon against his friends. Bidmead's idea of block transfer computation culminates here. Adric's mind executes the Master's esoteric maths, instantiating a whole town. Anthony Ainley's Master, disguised as the benevolent Portreeve, is more than theatrical villainy. He is the author of the setting. By seeding false histories, a library whose old books narrate the present, and looping paths, he practices narrative control. The reveal reframes prior scenes. Hospitality and inertia were features, not bugs. Comfort weaponized to keep the Doctor resting forever. The Zero Room and the ethics of rest. One of Bidmead's elegant conceits is the Zero Room, a sanctuary of sensory equilibrium. When the TARDIS is compromised, Nyssa and Tegan literally wheel a section of the Zero Room outside, seeking calm amid chaos. That image plays ironically against Castrovalva's counterfeit serenity, genuine restorative space, Zero Room, versus counterfeit rest, the Master's recursive town. The story thus differentiates care, companions fighting to safeguard recovery, from control, an enemy who immobilizes under the guise of peace. Music and sound, Kingsland's liminal textures. Paddy Kingsland's score, available as an isolated music track on home video releases, leans into crystalline motifs and glassy synth arpeggiation that suggest both order, mathematical regularity, and unreality, a city that shouldn't exist. Having just left the Radiophonic Workshop to freelance, Kingsland threads warmth into electronic timbres, supporting Davison's gentler register while underscoring the city's sterile recursion. Locations and look, making an impossible town. Castrovalva was realised through studio sets at BBC Television Centre and South East England locations that could suggest the Hilltown aesthetic and wooded approaches, e.g. Harrison's Rocks, Buckhurst Woods. The production leans on compositional tricks, switchbacks, repeating alleyways, and a square shot from different angles to put Escher on screen without elaborate effects. Meta space as character. The most striking feature of Castrovalva is how space performs character. Streets lie, maps are propaganda, and books are placeholders written just in time. This reflects previous and later Doctor Who experiments, e.g. the mind robber's artificial reality or the narrative traps of the God complex. When environment is authored by an antagonist, epistemology becomes the battlefield. The Doctor's victory is less about force and more about diagnosis. Naming recursion breaks recursion. The Master's defeat and the cost of illusions. When the Castrovalvans learn they are made things, people of a map rather than a map of people, the Master's control evaporates. Importantly, Castrovalva doesn't reduce them to mere phantoms. They are capable of ethical choice, turning on the Master, giving the climactic unravelling emotional weight. The town collapses not just because the math collapses, but because its people reject the purpose for which they were computed. Davison's Fifth Doctor, a thesis statement. Davison's first story proposes a Doctor who is collaborative, courteous, and clinical, sharp enough to outthink a recursive occlusion, humble enough to rely on his friends while he's fragile. The contrast with Tom Baker's mercurial bohemian is deliberate. Where Baker often dominated the frame, Davison distributes agency across the ensemble. Nissa's calm, Tegan's grit, Adric's peril. It's a thesis statement for the Fifth Doctor's era. Stakes are high, solutions are cooperative, and compassion is a strategy. Reception and legacy. Contemporary and retrospective commentary often splits. Some viewers find the early TARDIS business mannered, the middle episodes talky, and the spatial trickery abstract. Others prize it for intellectual ambition and the freshness of Davison's tone. But there's broad agreement that Castrovalva succeeds as a regeneration story that dramatizes disorientation through form as well as plot, and as an imaginative send-off for Bidmead's mathematical metaphysics before Eric Soward's tenure reoriented the series toward harder-edged action. Closing claim. Castrovalva is regeneration as epistemological puzzle. Bidmead and Cumming turn space into a lie, then let a newly gentle Doctor tell the truth that dissolves it. In doing so, the story delivers an unusually conceptual welcome to the Fifth Doctor, one that rewards viewers who enjoy when Doctor Who makes thinking itself into an adventure. Castrovalva, Part 1, 500-word synopsis. Reeling from his fall at the Ferris Project, the Fourth Doctor reaches his prepared end. The mysterious Watcher merges with him, and he regenerates into a youthful Fifth Doctor. Nyssa, Tegan, and Adric try to get the disoriented Doctor back to the TARDIS as alarms blare, but security detains the companions while paramedics cart the Doctor away. Thinking fast, Tegan hijacks the ambulance and with Nyssa, hauls the Doctor into the TARDIS under fire. Adric is seized outside until an incongruous stone column, the Master's disguised TARDIS, appears, stuns everyone, and then vanishes, leaving a dazed Adric behind. The trio blast off, unaware the Master is shadowing them. Inside, the Doctor, weak and mentally scrambled by regeneration, sets off to find the Zero Room, a neutral sanctuary where Time Lords can heal. He trails wool from his unravelled scarf as a breadcrumb line through the labyrinthine corridors, his behaviour sliding through fugitive echoes of earlier selves, Hartnell's tart authority, Troughton's breathless urgency. Adric follows, concerned. In the console room, Nyssa and Tegan try to understand the controls. Tegan discovers the TARDIS databank and, after a wry exchange about recursion, lands on the index file. They learn the ship is on a programmed journey. Departure, Earth, Ferris Project, destination, hydrogen inrush, Event 1. The Doctor stumbles through changing rooms and in a defining visual settles into the Fifth Doctor's understated look, cricket jumper, beige coat, Panama, before the companions catch up. Guided by Tegan's lipstick marks on the walls, they reach the Zero Room, a quiet, rose-scented, pink-grey void where gravity loosens and interference falls away. The Doctor floats into horizontal rest and, in a calm, disembodied voice, assigns roles to help him stabilize. Tegan as coordinator, Nyssa as technical lead, and Adric, prize for mathematical excellence, as navigator who can help heal the disconnection. A roundel blooms with an image of Adric seemingly ensnared in a wire web. He warns of a trap. Block transfer, the coordinates, Event 1. Then the projection collapses. In reality, Adric is captive in the Master's TARDIS, his prodigious computational abilities co-opted to power block transfer computation, mathematics so potent it can impose realities, set coordinates, and program destinies. The Master smugly ensures Adric cannot reach or influence the Zero Room, conserving his energies for what's to come. Back in the ship, signs of external stress mount. Tegan's lipstick trail melts, the TARDIS walls heat, the cloister bell tolls. Imminent disaster. The Doctor senses something distinctly wrong, but stepping beyond the Zero Room's threshold sends him collapsing, so Tegan resumes coordinating and Nyssa interrogates the databank. The dire truth clicks into place. The TARDIS is travelling backwards in time into Event 1, the primal inrush of hydrogen that births the largest explosion in history. The ship shudders violently. Tegan burns her hand on the console. The Doctor is knocked unconscious. On the scanner, the Master appears, savouring victory. With the TARDIS locked on course for annihilation and the Doctor barely stabilised, Part 1 closes on his chilling sign-off. Farewell, my friends. Farewell forever. Castrovalva, Part 2. The TARDIS hurtles toward Event 1, trapped by the Master's block transfer computations. Nyssa recognises the escalating danger. The time force is far greater than gravity, but no automatic system can overcome the rising temperature. The Doctor, thrown from the Zero Room by the turbulence, self-medicates from a burst medical locker and arrives in the console room in a motorized wheelchair, his mind briefly sharpened by adrenaline. He instructs Nyssa and Tegan on using a manual override to vent the thermobuffer, cooling the ship and restoring some control. The Doctor outlines a desperate solution. Use the architectural configuration system to delete sections of the TARDIS interior, converting their mass into momentum, a jettison that could generate enough thrust to escape Event 1. It's risky. If they choose wrongly, they might delete the console room itself. As his lucidity fades, the Doctor warns them of the imprecision of manual controls but leaves Nyssa and Tegan to act. With seconds to spare, Tegan presses the jettison control. In the Master's TARDIS, Adric pretends to submit to his captor, bargaining for survival while concealing information. When the TARDIS survives the blast and reappears on his scanner, the Master is incredulous, but intrigued. Back in the TARDIS, Nyssa and Tegan search the databank for regeneration remedies. They find that certain real-world environments can be as effective as a Zero Room, recommending dwellings of simplicity, notably the planet Castrovalva in the Andromeda Galaxy, as ideal for recuperation. Deciding to travel there, they discover the Zero Room itself has been accidentally deleted in the jettison. Improvising, Nyssa constructs a small Zero cabinet from surviving components to shelter the Doctor during transit. The TARDIS lands in a woodland clearing at a steep angle. Tegan scouts from a tree and spots Castrovalva, a pink granite city perched atop high cliffs, estimating an afternoon's walk. Nyssa and Tegan lift the surprisingly heavy Zero cabinet onto a wheelchair for easier transport, but the Doctor's levitation, meant to make it weightless, falters intermittently, forcing them to rest. At one point, the wheelchair tumbles into a stream and shorts out, and while Nyssa repairs it, unseen figures watch from the undergrowth. Continuing on foot, the companions conceal the cabinet in bracken when Castrovalva comes into view, intending to seek help from the inhabitants. Their progress is shadowed by two spear-carrying warriors who confer about informing Murgrave. Meanwhile, the Doctor regains consciousness inside the cabinet and quietly opens it. Later, when Nyssa and Tegan return, they find the hiding place disturbed and fresh blood on the grass. The cabinet is open, and the Doctor has vanished. Part 2 escalates the crisis. The Event 1 trap is narrowly escaped, but the Zero Room's destruction forces a resourceful, high-risk alternative. The trek to Castrovalva introduces new perils, strange watchers, the Doctor's worsening condition, and now his mysterious disappearance, deepening the tension and setting the stage for the companions' confrontation with the enigmatic city and its inhabitants. Castrovalva, Part 3. Nyssa and Tegan discover the Zero cabinet open and a blood trail leading toward Castrovalva. They suspect the Doctor has emerged on his own, feeling improved from the Zero effect, but remains vulnerable mid-regeneration. Tracking the blood, they glimpse him attempting to scale the cliffs toward the city before he is intercepted by armed, plumed warriors, led by Murgrave and Ruther. The Doctor, disoriented, is brought inside through concealed rock doors, moments before Nyssa and Tegan reach the entrance. Inside Castrovalva's town square, the Doctor meets Shardovan, the librarian, and learns the community values, reading, conversation, and rest. He is told of the Portreeve, a wise figurehead, but urged to sleep and recover. That night, the Portreeve privately visits the Doctor, offering a herbal drink to aid rest and cryptically assuring him he will soon find the Doctor. Meanwhile, Nyssa and Tegan struggle to scale the cliffs. A rope ladder unexpectedly drops, allowing them to enter the city. They are recognized as new arrivals and told another stranger, the Doctor, was brought in earlier. Shardovan has them shown to quarters without disturbing the Portreeve. Unknown to them, the real Adric is still imprisoned in the Master's TARDIS. His earlier appearance in Castrovalva was a perfect projection designed to mislead them. The next morning, Nyssa follows men carrying the Zero Cabinet to the Doctor's room and unexpectedly encounters the projected Adric, who warns her not to reveal his presence. He insists the Doctor must remain in Castrovalva until regeneration completes, then vanishes in a flash of energy. At breakfast, the Portreeve introduces Shardovan to Nyssa and Tegan and shows the Doctor a large tapestry that can display recent events in the city, apparently a remnant of lost ancestral technology. The Doctor notices it depicts Tegan, Nyssa, and the Zero Cabinet being carried through the woods, though he oddly struggles to recall the full number of his companions. Nyssa and Tegan's visit to the library proves fruitless. There are no technical works that could help with Adric or the Master. Returning to the Doctor, they find him agitated, suddenly recalling Adric's name. Confronted, Nyssa admits she saw him but promised secrecy. The Doctor insists on leaving the city immediately. As they attempt to find an exit, the citizens give contradictory directions, and the trio become trapped in an impossible architectural loop, descending stairs that return them to the same square, echoing MC Escher's Castrovalva. The Doctor realizes the city is folding in on itself, a complex spatial disturbance akin to recursive occlusion. The strain overwhelms him, and Nyssa and Tegan try to return him to the Zero Cabinet, only to find it missing, leaving just a fragment of TARDIS wall. Looking out the window, the Doctor sees multiple simultaneous perspectives of the city, confirming they are caught in a space-time trap under deliberate control, with Castrovalva itself acting as the snare. This episode shifts the tone from survival to mystery, layering the idyllic facade of Castrovalva with hints of manipulation, the Master's unseen influence, and the deepening spatial anomaly that now imprisons the Doctor and his companions. Castrovalva, Part 4. The Doctor, still weakened, insists Nyssa and Tegan find the Zero Cabinet while he investigates the cause of Castrovalva's recursive occlusion. The women enlist Retha to lead them to the Portreeve, but are repeatedly drawn back to the town square in an impossible loop. Using a telescope, Nyssa spots the Zero Cabinet being used by local women as a washtub. Meanwhile, the Doctor, feigning rest, quizzes Murgrave about the town's geography, getting him to draw a map. Murgrave's pharmacy appears in 4 different places, exposing the spatial paradox. Nyssa and Tegan return with the cabinet, and the Doctor reveals that Castrovalva's history books are likely forged, possibly by librarian Shardovan, to conceal the town's true nature. A hidden note in Shardovan's handwriting deepens the mystery. A procession carries the cabinet to the Portreeve's house, but the Doctor secretly slips away, confronting Shardovan about his suspicions. Shardovan admits philosophical doubts about Castrovalva's authenticity. Inside, the Portreeve reveals himself as the Master, boasting that the entire city is his creation, maintained in space by block transfer computations forced from Adric's mind, who is trapped in a web-like structure behind a giant tapestry. The Doctor and Shardovan climb into the Portreeve's house through a high window. As the Master tries to open the Zero Cabinet, the Doctor's image appears on the tapestry, alerting him. The cabinet smashes open, revealing it empty, and the tapestry changes to show Adric imprisoned. The Doctor tears it down, confirming it is the source of Castrovalva's stability. The Master gloats, but Shardovan swings into the web on a chandelier, destroying it at the cost of his life and freeing Adric. With the web gone, Castrovalva begins to collapse in on itself. The Master flees in his TARDIS, disguised as the Portreeve's fireplace, but finds himself pursued and trapped by enraged Castrovalvans. The Doctor leads his companions through the disintegrating Escher-like architecture, relying on Adric to guide them toward an exit point he recognizes as alien to the city's design. They escape through a tunnel as Murgrave and others grapple with the Master, sealing him inside. Outside in the woodland, they watch the cliffs vanish as Castrovalva implodes. Whether the Master perished remains uncertain. Jogging back toward the TARDIS, the Doctor tests his crew's fitness, proudly attaching a stick of celery to his lapel. Tegan believes she flew the ship to Castrovalva, but the Doctor explains it was pre-programmed by the Master through Adric. Her actions on the console were meaningless. Rejuvenated and embracing his new incarnation, the Doctor shepherds Nyssa, Tegan and Adric back aboard. The TARDIS dematerializes, leaving the mystery of the Master's fate unresolved. Part 4 serves as the climax and resolution, exposing Castrovalva as an elaborate, recursive trap designed by the Master to isolate and destroy the Doctor during his vulnerable regeneration. It blends high-concept spatial paradoxes with themes of perception, illusion, and sacrifice, culminating in Shardovan's heroic self-sacrifice to break the Master's control and free the city from existence. I hope you enjoyed that synopsis. Before we get into the top 10 scenes, I thought I'd mention some trivia I heard a long time ago. Did you know that the reason everyone got on so well in this first episode is that it was actually recorded fourth? I understand it was John Nathan Turner's idea to make sure the actors had gelled as a team through Four to Doomsday, Kinda, and The Visitation before recording the most important episode, the Doctor's regeneration recovery story. Also, did you know that, as is the wont of most young people of Matthew Waterhouse's age at the time, he had gone out drinking a lot of Campari the night before he performed that scene, near the end of the story, of running to the TARDIS. As soon as the camera was off him, his hangover and stomach got the better of him. Apparently the sound guy had to do some judicious editing. Still, as Adric was supposed to be pale in that scene due to being trapped by the Master for so long, top marks for method acting. And now, the top scenes, as discussed by fans over the years. I didn't include all of these in the clips as, if you haven't seen Castrovalva yet, you might not want all of them spoiled, not in any particular order as they're all the top scenes. There just happens to be 10 of them. Number 1. The post-regeneration Watcher sequence. The dramatic merging of the Watcher and the Doctor, inaugurating Peter Davison's Fifth Doctor, often cited as a powerful poetic introduction. Number 2. The Doctor's corridor amnesia, unravelling his scarf, impersonating past Doctors, and stumbling through corridors. Davison's performance earns consistent praise. Number 3. The TARDIS's escape from Event 1, jettisoning rooms and converting them to thrust to avoid galactic creation. The blend of sci-fi ingenuity and drama fans remember. Number 4. Adric trapped in the web. The visual of young Adric entwined in glowing strands as the Master exploits his mathematical brain, both haunting and pivotal. Number 5. Nyssa/Tegan hauling the Zero Cabinet through the woods, often mocked for its sluggish pacing, but also seen as evocative of the Doctor's literal burden and human effort. Number 6. Discovery of score-centered map errors. The Doctor forcing Murgrave to draw the same pharmacy in multiple places reveals the city's spatial lie, a clever mind game moment. Number 7. Shattering the tapestry and freeing Adric. The climax where the Doctor exposes the truth, Shadavan sacrifices himself, and the city collapses, poetic and cathartic. Number 8. The Master revealed as the Portreeve. Anthony Ainley's careful performance and the big reveal has become iconic among fans of classic Who. Number 9. The impossible staircase loops, Escher-esque scene. Scenes of the characters going round and round the same plaza or stairs capture the story's recursive theme visually. Number 10. The Doctor's celery moment. A humorous and character-defining beat, tying a stick of celery to his lapel as a cultural signal after recovery. Fans love this whimsical trademark. Why these scenes stand out. Character-defining moments, the Doctor's regeneration confusion, Adric's mathematical imprisonment, and Davison's first full performance on screen as the Doctor defined the new era. Strong conceptual visuals, the tapestry collapse, impossible geometry, and Castrovalva's looping nature are tangible expressions of high-concept sci-fi. Emotional resonance, Shadavan's sacrifice, Adric's liberation, and the Doctor's recovery are emotionally meaningful fan favourites. Balance of whimsy and philosophy, the celery, the map paradox, and the inversion of hospitality reflect the story's blend of lightness with deep thematic layers. Though there's no definitive ranked fan poll, these 10 episodes are frequently singled out in forums, retrospective reviews, and critical discussions, offering fans collective admiration for key story beats in Castrovalva. Well, I hope you enjoyed this explainer video on Castrovalva. Let me know what you thought about the story in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the unofficial Doctor Who Explainer videos YouTube channel.